welcome to the fifth episode of Ithaca College Opera's Alumni Interview Series. We're so excited to be back with you after our brief hiatus. Today, we have the pleasure of meeting alumni Stephen Humes, a member of the class of 2012. After graduating from IC, Stephen received his Master's of Music at the Eastman School of Music and is now the manager of audience development at Opera Philadelphia. How are you, Stephen?
I am great. Thanks for having me, Louis.
Absolutely. So why don't you start with telling us, so how did your experiences at Ithaca impact your experiences in the professional world?
Yeah, sure. When I think about my experiences at Ithaca, I think about people. Um, I think first about Mr. Dobler. Larry Dobler was the director of choral activities when I was at Ithaca. I think about him because being a part of the Ithaca College Choir taught me how to blend community and music. And my work with Dr. Galvan also was hugely impactful in that it just put me in an environment to know that we have to think about the people that make up the music and how are we going to then reach out to the audiences. And I think putting people first, let the music then grow. And so I think about that. I also think about my experiences in the Ithaca College Opera. At the time, it was led by Brian Damaris and David Lefkowitz, and they taught me about opera with such an innovative lens and how do we bring new productions, new ideas, and achieve great detail. And then I think the third person I think about is my voice teacher, Brad Huffam, who I know is there today. He really was so important to me because he said, if you're going to really learn to sing, you have to use your voice, your voice, and not something manufactured. And how can you be genuine in that approach? So I think the people has always been the thing that I think about when I look back at my time at Ithaca.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And I mean, it makes sense that you ended up going into audience development. I mean, that's where,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's no coincidence. These things happen for a reason. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you do in your role at Opera Philadelphia?
Sure. I started at Opera Philadelphia in 2016 as the education manager. At Ithaca, I was a double major in music education and voice performance. I totally loved the fact that I was doing both majors. I will be honest, there was a time in which I was saying, I think I can get rid of the ed major. And that would have been the biggest mistake of my life. I think everybody gets into that feeling of what are you going to do? And for me, staying with education kept me with people and audiences. So I started with the company Opera Philadelphia as education manager and connecting our company with schools through our programs. And then about a year and a half ago, our marketing and communications department approached me with a new opportunity to be the manager of audience development. So really, in a marketing lens, it's how do we communicate what we're about to put on stage or what we're about to do in the community to just our audience. Who are we not thinking about? It's just total relationship building. It's more than just an email. It's more than just social media in terms of a marketing sense. It's about showing up in different pockets of the community of Philadelphia to understand who's not yet invested in us, who's not yet with a part of our family, a part of just what we do. So it's been really nice to work with different community groups. There is totally a community lens to this work, even though it is in marketing. And so I've enjoyed collaborating across the company to provide a greater message and to think about what we're doing just to the city of Philadelphia.
Oh, I mean, wow. That's definitely it's definitely an important role that, people can sometimes overlook, because, who is in your audience says a lot about, you as a company. And
Yeah,
we,
yeah,
that's a really important discussion to have, especially at times like this, as opera changes and the nature of the music that we're creating, it's like, how are we reflecting that in our audiences? And I think that's really cool what you do, because it also helps a lot of people who normally would have no interest in opera to sort of understand that it's not a dying art, and that it's not just for this sort of elitist section of
Right.
people who understand it. I think that's so crucial, especially in this current setting we're in. So I think that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, and I just to kind of go off on that. I think that in my role, I work so hard, and I've grown. I've grown in my role at Opera Philadelphia, in the sense that I've found that I need to work much harder
Mhm.
to identify and to study the pieces and the repertoire that we're about to put on stage, so that you understand how you're going to go into the community and build relationships, because opera is having a reckoning right now, that it has been really focused and led by the decisions of a large white audience. And by working together now, because of what has happened, in recent months, it's put a mirror to us all and said, we need to interrogate what is being put on stage. We're doing a piece called El Cimarron in March as part of our Opera Philadelphia channel. And it is about a 114-year-old Cuban slave, Esteban Monteo, and his kind of story in the sugar plantations and coming out of the Cuban Revolution. And if we're going to bring that story to Philadelphia, we have to unpack all of its elements and ask, how did that get to be a piece of opera in the first place? And if we're going to do it, how do we use it as a mirror and as an opportunity to educate and move forward? It's just so important. And so in my role, it's being in the book still. There's sometimes I feel like I'm, in college still, because I'm working to educate myself. It's a process. And I think getting into the city of Philadelphia, I've grown a lot in what I didn't know. You have to know what you don't know. And I credit the community and the company of Opera Philadelphia for supporting me in that journey, because it is a journey.
Absolutely. The learning never stops. I love that you said that. I think that's so important for everyone, even in professional careers. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Glad to hear you
Yeah.
say that. So you might have already touched on this earlier, but who would you say is your biggest inspiration? It could be in
Yeah.
college or in your life.
Yeah. I struggle with those questions, because it's like, how far do you go back? You kind of prepared me for that question. And I think about my grandparents. My grandfathers, one was a minister and one was a music teacher. So you got that music and community there.
Yeah.
But right now I'm inspired by those artists and individuals who are making the most of this moment. I think about Anthony Roth Costanzo and what he's doing with the New York Philharmonic, with NY Phil Bandwagon. I don't know. Have you heard about that?
I have not.
So yeah, he's been working with the Philadelphia Orchestra to do outdoor performances in this kind of truck and going throughout the city and offering performances with kind of a conversation lens to it. So I've been inspired by him. I've been inspired by John Holiday right now on The Voice.
Yeah, yep.
Now that's been giving me a lot of joy. I think right now it's who's finding ways to innovate and make the most of this opportunity. And so those are just a couple people that come to mind.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
saw him, I was like, whoa, that's so cool. It's
Yeah,
great.
right. And I know he's got his Ithaca connections.
Yeah.
And I didn't know him until he actually came to Opera Philadelphia and was part of one of our new premieres. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. And for our final question, what advice do you have for young artists considering this career path?
I think it's a little bit about before we started to record, Lewis, you were telling me a little bit about your journey as a BMO.
Mhm.
and you've found this unique identity, unique path. You're sponging up so many different, um, you know, mediums or focuses. I think it comes down to how are you going to work now to understand the business side of the arts? Um, that you can spend all the time practicing that you want, and that's great. And I totally endorse practicing, but I really endorse people, individuals, especially in this kind of undergraduate time at Ithaca College, to understand what it means to run an opera company,
Mm.
to understand the marketing sense of it, the fundraising sense of it. Um, there were so many things that I've learned just in my 4 years at Opera Philadelphia that make me think, oh, if I only knew about the business sense. And to do that, I think for a Ithaca College student, you want to develop what I call like a personal board of directors. 5 people that you can continue to pick up the phone and call, whether they be from your Ithaca College years or moving forward in the next step,
Mhm.
to understand the various components. I'll say right now, I can be a personal boarder. I love to be that for somebody, to say, okay, that this is the type of money that needs to come into an opera company in order for it to go out, or this is a way that you want to be thinking about promoting yourself or building your own brand.
Mhm.
How are you going to bring? Who are you going to bring to the table to help you better understand what your impact is going to be? And so I call that the personal board of directors.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think it's a little bit of that, um, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's wow, it's really great. I mean, that even I definitely in my head as like you're like okay, 5 people, I'm thinking to myself like, okay, I was like who would my like board be? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
And you know, because it is true. I think a lot of the times students will graduate and have no idea how to, I say sell yourself as in like, like what's your pitch? What's your angle? It's not enough to just have an image or a sound. It's like how are you going to like you can have as much value as you want, but how do you make others realize that value?
yeah,
I think that's so crucial. And I like you articulated it in a way that's like very practical, and this type of business, there has to be people involved. Every soloistic career is backed by countless supporters and people that help get you there. So I'm glad that like you were able to shed light on this sort of the people make the person,
they
that person,
do.
that's great.
And
That's
it can expand, it can morph. As you morph, it's good to morph. I think one of my people at the top of my board of directors, is one of my professors in grad school, Benton Hess. He's since retired. He helped me better understand what my administrative capacity was, when he gave me the opportunity to be the artistic administrator or the administrator, for a summer program in Italy called Si Parla Si Canta.
mm,
Amazing way to get to understand how a program is run, but how do you work to support both the participants and the faculty and make financial choices that support the long-term health. Um, and so that set me up to come into Opera Philadelphia with a glimpse of what business is like, because it is a business and you got to be a part of it.
mhm.
But then to expand on that too. So
Wow. Yeah, no, that's great. Well, this concludes our interview. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us, Stephen. It was a pleasure to sit and chat with you.
yeah, thanks, Lewis, and good luck to everybody in the Ithaca College Opera. I did see you're doing Magic Flute, which makes me think, have fond memories, because last time they did that, it was 2012, and I was happy to be Papageno in that, and so I'm just excited to see how you're going to transform in a digital space, but just hide everybody there, and best of luck to you and in wherever your path is going to take you.
Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah.